And for weeks, a group of lawmakers have been meeting behind closed doors, ironing out details of a potential bipartisan plan to enhance border security and reform immigration policy. Former President Donald Trump warning, though, no immigration deal should be done with Democrats. So in studio this morning, we have U.S. Senator James Lankford with us. Senator Lankford, always a pleasure to talk with you about these issues. Okay, so let's start here. We'll get to all of the responses to what's been going on lately, but I do want to start with just a general update on where we are with negotiations. I know you said you would hope text would be out for this bill by this week. Is that right?
That's correct. Everybody needs to be able to read it. There's been lots of internet rumors of things that are in it. People need to actually see what's in it. The internet rumors are not true. So what we tried to be able to do is craft a bill. It's taken us 4 months to be able to go through this. The White House and Democrats initially were adamantly opposed to it. Republicans were very strong to say we've got to have changes in border law. This has been obvious. The last 3 years, we've had 8 million people that have illegally crossed the border. That's more than the last 12 years combined. So what we have shaped so far changes the asylum standards, dramatically increases the hearings, increases our detention so we don't have catch and release. We're actually doing detain and deport. We increase deportation flights. We change a lot of the process for how the hearing is done to be able to make it a faster process. Someone crosses the border, they get an immediate hearing and they get deported because not many people actually qualify for asylum, but that's the area that's being abused. So that's the area we lock in on.
And just listening to how far you have come over the past few weeks, I mean, are you happy with the progress so far?
Well, we've made a lot of progress. I'd love to have a lot more in this, quite frankly. But this is a bipartisan agreement. I've got to move it to make law through the Senate. That requires Republicans and Democrats both have to agree. In the Senate, you have to have 60 votes to be able to pass it. So are there things that I would want to have more in it? Yes. But are there a lot of things in it that will make an enormous difference? Absolutely they are. And a lot of these things are the same things President Trump was asking for when he was president and he was frustrated saying there needs to be changes in law. Many of these are the same issues to say these are things that are not just a problem with this president, but the previous one, the previous one, the previous one. If we're going to fix this, we need to be able to fix it.
All right. And talking about former President Donald Trump, he put out a post telling lawmakers not to work with Democrats on this plan. Will the former president's words, though, stop you all in terms of getting this bill moved through?
Yeah, it's not stopping me. I have a first obligation to actually protect the country and the national security. I understand he's in a presidential campaign. It's a different perspective at this point in the political piece. But this is something we've all said is a major problem that has to be addressed. I can't just look the other way and have millions more people this year come across the border when we know there have been 50 people already picked up this year that are on our terror watch list. We've had tens of thousands of people that have crossed the border that have been identified as a national security risk based on where they're from, that we don't have any information on them at all. Those folks are just being released into the country. That's a major national security problem. I can't just ignore that. We have to be able to address that and address it as soon as we can.
So let's talk about this now. The Oklahoma Republican Party, they voted over the weekend to censor and condemn you. This, we're learning that vote might be illegitimate at this point, but we do want to hear from you about your response to the censure and also condemning.
I get it. That was 117 people that got together that had that vote and then just declared that it was a whole Republican Party that actually believes this in the state. I don't believe that's true because I've been overwhelmed with people contacting me all weekend long saying I'm a Republican and I stand with you. I've had members of law enforcement and firefighters. I've had just folks from all over the state that have contacted me and said, hey, we stand with you. We want to close the border. I understand the politics of this. There are some folks that say Biden's against the ropes because he's so mishandled the border, and he has. We've never had a border this open. His policies have directly led to what we're experiencing right now. But I can't just ignore that for the next 10 months and to say we're just going to continue to allow an unlimited number of people. As soon as we can close this, we need to close this. And even when President Trump was president, it was the other direction. Democrats wouldn't vote to approve anything on border security when President Trump was president. So when I have a moment to be able to solve a problem, not just for now or the next 4 years, but for the next 40 years, I should actually seize on that moment. As my mom used to say, there's never a wrong time to do the right thing. Let's do the right thing when we have the moment.
So, Senator Lankford, just talking about and hearing you say you've gotten calls from Republicans here in the state saying we are behind you 100% when it comes to the work you're doing there at the Capitol or at Congress, excuse me. But, y'all been at it for weeks. How does that support it help you and keep you going here?
It's just encouragement. People that are contacting me saying, hey, I'm praying for you. I want to see a solution to this. I want to see some resolution to it. They hear the internet rumors like there's going to be 5,000 people a day released in the country every day, which is nonsense. That's not true. That's not in this proposal. There are caps and limits where we actually turn people around every single day on it, and we have tight structures. We're doing 5,000 hearings and then deporting people, not doing hearings and releasing people. So people are twisting all the facts on this, and that's causing major problems. And people are frustrated because they don't want people illegally present in the country. Americans are very open to legal immigration, so am I. But I'm very opposed to illegal immigration because it's unchecked, unvetted individuals that are just released in the country. We've got to be able to resolve that. So this bill targets 0 as the number of people illegally entering in the country and focuses on how do we actually get there.
All right, so point blank here, how confident are you right now that this bill will pass through, get to the president's desk for signing?
I'm actually confident, so I continue to be able to work on it because it's a problem that has to be resolved, hasn't been resolved in decades. It's the moment to actually get this resolved.
All right, what would you tell Oklahomans who are closely watching what's going on?
Tell them to not believe everything they read on the internet. And I would also say when it comes out, we'll get the details out. We'll get a section by section. We'll get the text. We'll get details on what every part of it means so people can judge for themselves based on the facts, not based on the fiction.
One more thing, Senator Lankford. Okay, so you want this week that text to come out. Yeah. That's still true, but just when exactly do you think this week that'll happen?
As soon as we can. I wish I could tell you. I 2 weeks ago thought that we were closer than we were. We've still got some skirmishes over words and phrases. This is the nature of a piece of legislation this big. We're going to try to get out as fast as we possibly can, let everyone get a chance to be able to read it.
All right, Senator James Lankford, thank you so much for your time. We always appreciate you coming on and giving us the information that Oklahomans, they want to hear.